Value adds that bankruptcy attorneys don't know about. That's what we're going to unpack today in this strategy call. And for those of you on the call live, if you have a question, show your video on certain breaks, show your video, ask a question, and we can unpack it as we go.
You're watching 720 System Strategies, the #1 channel for bankruptcy attorneys.
Now we got to add more value to the marketplace. And that is what we're doing right now. And I'm going to unpack 7 free value adds that you can add to your debtor. And so many of them we do for you for free. It's just as part of the program. I want to explain the whole thing of how we came into being. And it's so apropos that Ken happens to be on the phone. Ken Neely. Ken Neely had a debtor. This is in 2012, once when bankruptcy started going down. And Ken Neely had a debtor that called me up that I knew from California, from my time in California. He moved to Arizona. I moved to Arizona, not even knowing that. He called me up and he said, Phil, how you doing? And it was one of those things. I took the call and I thought to myself, oh, do I have to take this call? It was like an obligatory call. And I answered the call. He said, hey, Phil, it's David. I'm like, hey, David, how's it going? He said, I just filed bankruptcy. And I was like, thinking to myself, okay, what's going on? Sorry, David, good for you. What can I do for you? He's like, I know you have this credit program. Can you give me free enrollment? I can't pay for it. I said, sure, Dave, I'll give you free enrollment. And then he said something that literally changed my life. He said, if I introduce my bankruptcy attorney, would you pay me? And I said, well, David, I don't know if I'm going to pay you. Like, introduce me to your bankruptcy attorney and I'll let you know how it goes. He introduced me bankruptcy attorney and Ken Neely on the phone. Ken, why don't you show your video, seeing you're on the phone? Because we can reminisce a little bit on this, right? We chatted that day and you said, hey, bankruptcy filings are going down and I want to add more value to my client, right? And you've always been someone that's been an innovator in the bankruptcy space, actually in all life, software developer, et cetera, et cetera. But you said, I want to add more value. Bankruptcy filings are going down. And I want to give your 720 credit score program away because, it's credit improvement. It's not credit repair, et cetera, right? Remember, is that how it went?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so I said to you, because I was so over with losing money for 4 years out of 720 credit score. And I said, well, give it away and just let me know how it goes for a month. And I remember you calling me back. I was actually downtown Phoenix when you called me and I answered the phone. You're like, hey, Phil, it's Ken Neely. And I was like, oh, Ken. And I frankly didn't piece it together right away. And you're like, oh, you remember David introduced us the credit program of the bankruptcy attorney. I'm like, oh yeah, what happened? And from my numbers, and tell me if this is correct, this is what I tell when I tell the story. Your chapter 7 at the time were $1,500 and you raised it to $1,800. This is like 2012, way before bifurcation. And your same day retain rate went up 19%. Was that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You made all this money and I was like, oh my God, and that was the beginning of 720, right? And you started incorporating 7 steps or 720 credit score into all your intakes, right? Anything you want to add to that? Anything I missed?
That's pretty much it. I think we just, I said, you got to start selling this to bankruptcy attorneys instead of to consumers.
Dude,
So
and that's what happened
did.
because I was like, forget about the bankruptcy attorney, add it, package it as a free value add to debtor attorneys. So on that note, thank you, Ken. This is the kicking off the first value add. And there he is right here. I mean, I'm so grateful to him. So our first bankruptcy attorney still in our program, talking it up, and he's a huge value creator. As a matter of fact, we'll have him on. We've had him on, and we got to have him on again, talking about student loans, which is actually one of my last points on this. So Ken, thank you so much. The point is that debtors come in and they're worried about their credit. So the first thing out of the gate is, hey, I'm going to put this to ease. 720 credit score is a free credit program called 7 Steps to 720 Credit Score, focused for bankruptcy clients that you're going to have. The last thing I want you to do is worry about your credit, right? That's the first thing. Let me share my screen here for a second. At 720 Credit Score, the credit education course, that's a do-it-yourself credit improvement course. This is all they need to rebuild their credit score. We've had hundreds of thousands of people through the program. It has short videos, templates, and it boils down to three things. Get the errors off the credit report, get 3 credit cards, and get some type of installment line, and they're going to naturally rebuild their credit. And we are not a big advocate. We're not a big advocate of going to get loans or anything just to rebuild. Matter of fact, I had a guest on Bankruptcy Explained, one of our YouTube channels, which I'll show you shortly. And he said credit's evil. And I was like, really? Let's just record this live head to head on why credit's evil. Let me try to convince you otherwise. And at the end of the conversation, he's like, wow, I didn't realize this. Because we're not saying get more debt. We're talking about rebuilding your life so you can live normally, get a good car loan, buy a home at a very good interest rate. The kicker to this, and I want to go back to the screen share, the kicker to this is Evergreen Financial Counseling, a CEDE course, offers it absolutely free for your client to do the first and second course with them. I mean, every one of your clients take the CE and DE course. They can get this absolutely free. The kicker is you don't even need to pay for this, because if you go to Evergreen Financial Counseling, they will pay for the credit improvement course, 7 steps of 720 credit score. So anyways, if you're interested in more information on Evergreen Class, you can go to evergreenclass.com and learn more about that. The second thing is free review of your credit report after they file. So I want to put this in perspective. We've done this thousands and thousands of times. 44% of debtors that file bankruptcy have an error on their credit report after bankruptcy. 44%. They have one error. You tell your debtors, hey, we're going to give you not only going to give you the free credit report, we're going to give you free review of your credit report. Where 720 credit score is going to run your credit, going to pull your discharge papers from Pacer, compare the two. If there's errors, they're going to send out certified letters on your behalf. In 45 days, they're going to rerun your credit. Okay? Rerun your credit and then make sure everything's off. And if they're, in 90% of the time, they're clean. And the other time they're not clean, we're going to get them clean through the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Because the Fair Credit Reporting Act states that if a creditor or a furnisher of information reports information that's not fixed within 45 days, then they can be sued under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So that's another service, absolutely free. Carrie, you got a question?
Do the clients have to pay to have their credit report pulled, or is that all
No,
free?
no, it's absolutely free. And the client does not pay to have their credit report pulled. How it works, Carrie, is they sign up for a free 14-day trial with Experian, right? And we tell them, here, sign, we're going to pull the information and then cancel it immediately. Now, sometimes the debtor does not cancel in 14 days. And we
Right.
deal with that, but that's how we get around that.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Good. Thanks, Gary. Okay, so the first thing is free course on how to improve your credit. The second thing is free review of your credit report. Free, absolutely review your credit report. We're going to send out certified letters on your behalf. And if they don't get fixed, we get it off via the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The third thing we do is a free list of creditors on how to rebuild. So here's what we've recently started doing about a year and a half ago. When our debtor attorneys enroll people in the 7 steps of 720 credit score or Evergreen, we want to make sure they're taking steps to rebuild their credit. So we email them and text them and say, would you like a free welcome call as part of your 7 steps of 720 credit score? Okay. We get them on the phone and we just take them through the list of things they need to do. It's a list of how to rebuild your life after bankruptcy. So when you enroll someone into 7 steps or 720 credit score, this is after their discharge in a 7 or after the 13 confirmation. We send them an invite and we say, well, we'd like to have a welcome call. You just enrolled by your attorney. We want to welcome you to the 720 credit score program. The reason why we're doing this is because people wouldn't do anything. You know, after their bankruptcy, they're debtors and they just wipe their hands. They're like, I'll get to it, right? So on the welcome call, we welcome them to the program. We make sure they have their username and password. We make sure they have access to the videos where they can watch. And then we unpack these 3 things that they need to do. Number 1, do you want to do a free review of your credit report? And if they want to, we schedule it right there. Number two, you have to reestablish credit after your bankruptcy. Here are the credit cards that are currently approving our clients. Send them that way, right? We talk about installment lines, which I'll get to that shortly. We talk them about a future home purchase. Now, the practicality is that may be a year in a 13 or 2 years in a 7, but we still bring it up to them. We send them educational videos, which I'll show you shortly. And we actually have a mortgage broker that lends nationwide that will gladly talk to any of our debtors, even though that sale is potentially a year, 2 years out, right? We're trying to add value in their life. So the third thing you should be asking or pointing out in your intake is a free call on how to rebuild your credit and your life after bankruptcy so you can get a car and get a home. And you're going to talk to real life professionals that do this all the time. The debtor is always confused about their car. Am I going to keep my car? What happens if my car breaks down? What happens with the interest rate? All these questions that you naturally get, right? And one of the things we've learned when we take these intake calls, because as you know, we take hundreds of intake calls every single week. When we educate people on a free car audit, we send everyone to Ash Auto Group. And if you haven't connected with Ash Auto Group, please do. They do a free car audit where they look at the value of your car, they qualify them to see if they can qualify for a new car. But the kicker here is, one, it's a free value add that is easy. But the most important thing is when someone qualifies for a different car during bankruptcy, the speed to filing that case goes up dramatically. Because all of a sudden, it's not oh man, I got to put my stuff together. They're like, oh my goodness, you mean I'm going to get a different car right now? I'm going to get a different car after I file? I don't even have to wait 3 months for discharge? This is part of the free value add that takes away the concern of the debtor and many times speeds up the filing very, very fast. One thing I always like to show, so if I go to Ash Auto Group, they have 708 4.9 star reviews. 708 4.9 star reviews. If I go to Scottsdale Ferrari, they have 362 4.7 star reviews. Ash Auto Group is a used car dealership. But if anyone knows them, you've seen them at NACBA. They're a company it's a small company, family owned, and they're really, really high quality, high integrity. And the thing I love about them, they're 100% bankruptcy. You can click here, Chapter 7, bankruptcy just for Chapter 7s. Here, Chapter 13, bankruptcy video just for Chapter 13 filers. Video just on their remote delivery process. This is a absolute no-brainer to include into the value add proposition. So review, I'm halfway through. 7 steps of 720 credit score. No-brainer review. Number 2, free review of the credit report after discharge. We're going to confirm, you're going to confirm as their debtor attorney. I'm going to make sure that your credit reports are clean. And you can just frame it in a way that's like, this is what I provide for my client. Ask around. No one else is giving you 7 steps of 720 credit score. Are the other attorneys offering you free review of the credit report? Are your other attorneys offering you free rebuilding call on where to get the right credit cards, how to qualify for a home loan in a year or two, how to qualify for a car loan? Are your other attorneys talking about free car audits? Most likely they're not, right? This right here is, we have many interviews with Dan Friel. I have 3 of them actually on the Bankruptcy Explained YouTube channel on how to buy a home after bankruptcy. And what's really interesting, and I want to show this to you really quick. What I didn't realize, now I'm a former mortgage guy, so I know a lot about mortgages, but you'll hear it on these calls if you watch them. I was floored that there are down payment assistance programs right here, right? There are down payment assistance programs with the right credit score, even with the bankruptcy. That means if your debtor doesn't have the 3% down payment, 3.5% for an FHA, they may be able to qualify for a down payment assistance program. These are the things we're bringing up to them. And these are the things that you should bring up to them as a debtor attorney. So what we're trying to do here with Bankruptcy Explained is a go-to place for debtors before and after. And as you can see, I'm just creating all these various videos on bankruptcy, trying to take away the misconceptions and create real value for the debtor attorney. Debtors, they can get a home loan 1 year after on-time payments during a 13. They can get a home loan 2 years after the discharge on a 7. And the kicker is that they can qualify if they have the right credit score and they qualify from a debt to income ratio for a down payment assistance program. These are things you should bring up in your intake. We offer a bankruptcy newsletter for bankruptcy attorneys to keep in touch with their past client. And we combine that with generating reviews. I'm going to go back to the screen share and show this to you. This is an example of one of the emails. And I'm a big advocate of, instead of just asking for reviews, you still ask for reviews. But when you do it in an automated way, you simplify it and you add value first before you ask for a review. And this is an example of one of the emails, the first email. At the very top of every email is this little area. And you can take these emails and do it yourself. If you wanted us to do it, we can do it for you. But either way, this should be done to your past debtors. Over the course of the next year, once a month, I'm going to send you ideas, concepts, and ways for to use your bankruptcy as a springboard success. I wish you all the best in your newfound freedom. Your attorney name, click to review. Okay. Now, one of the things, and then we talk about the value of various things, right? And we include serving your clients in the various needs. Some people do PI, some people do family law, et cetera, et cetera. But what we've learned after watching the tracking is that people take this information and forward it to debtors. Debtors, no debtors. They have this new freedom. They forward to debtors, and all of a sudden that converts to potential more bankruptcies. Through Caldwell tracking, we know that these emails are sent and people call the number for the attorney asking for information. So this is another thing you should offer. Hey, afterwards, we're going to keep you updated on how to use your bankruptcy as springboard for success. This is an absolute no-brainer, once again, that you're giving to the debtor as part of your process. This is something we control as well. Bankruptcy Support Group USA before, during, and after bankruptcy. This group has 18,400 members. You can say, go to this support group, tell them I'm your attorney, and they will approve you, and we will. But what we're doing here, we're building guides on different things, on how to rebuild your life after bankruptcy. This is another thing that you can say to your clients. So let me just repeat these one more time, and then we can, open this up for discussion. Number 1, 7 steps or 720 credit score. Mr. Debtor, Mr. Jones, you don't have to worry about your credit. We're going to give you a program. It's a do-yourself program that's going to teach you how to rebuild your credit after bankruptcy, and that your credit's going to go from wherever it is to a 720 credit score in 12 to 24 months. This is absolutely free when you use me. Oh, by the way, on top of that, point 2, we're going to give you a free review of your credit report. This is where you're going to meet with someone. It's not my law office, but we're going to meet with someone. They're going to review your discharge papers from Pacer. And if there's an error on your credit report, and 44% of the time there is, we're going to send out certified letters on your behalf. And then in 45 days, we're going to rerun your credit report and make sure they're off. That's free, absolutely, as part of choosing me as a bankruptcy attorney. Also, by the way, Mr. Jones, when you get enrolled in the 720, watch for their email and text about a welcome call. In the welcome call, they're going to make sure you get their username and password enrolled into 7 steps to 720 credit score. They're going to set you up on the free review of the credit report. They're going to show you what credit cards are currently approving clients with bad credit after bankruptcy. They're going to introduce you to a mortgage broker. If you have a dream of owning a home in a year or two, they're going to introduce that person now. And if you need a car, we're going to introduce you to someone who lends specifically to people who just had a bankruptcy. This is all part of what we do for our debtors. And also, keep in mind, keep an eye out for my emails, whether we do it or you do it yourself. When we send out the emails, they actually come from your name. These are emails on how to use your bankruptcy as springboard success. And by the way, when you get these emails from me, send these out to whomever you know are having financial problems. This great value adding emails. And then lastly, I'm going to introduce you to a bankruptcy support group. It's a fantastic way to get resources when I'm unavailable. Value adds that most bankruptcy attorneys are not thinking about. I want to open this up. Show your video. Tell me why you agree or disagree. Joe Williams, thank you.
I don't know how much I have to add, but I just, at least from talking to clients, I definitely heard like a difference in tone, and I have to look at probably the statistics, but definitely mentioning the credit rebuilding program. I mean, it's like selling sort of the vacation rather than the plane ticket, right? Because ultimately, I don't think anyone actually wants a bankruptcy per se, but it seems like they want that fresh start. So, yeah, bringing up the 720, 7 steps to 720 credit score is it's been a good experience so far for me.
Great, Joe. Thank you so much.
I think value add is the only way to go at what differentiates bankruptcy attorneys, because I mean, let's face it, most cases, any competent bankruptcy attorney is going to do just fine. I mean, the complicated ones are different, but what differentiates you from everybody else? Value add, and that's what I push.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge differentiator. I mean, and believe it or not, most attorneys are not thinking like that. They're not thinking like that. If you're on this call, you're different, but most attorneys are not. Your competition does not think like this. They don't. Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate you. You're an innovator. You've always been front edge. By the way, two things about Ken. He came up with the idea on 720. I told you that. He was the first attorney in Arizona to bifurcate. Very first. Started the no money down here in Arizona. Then, about a year and a half before the Biden administration gave guidance on student loan discharging, he came to me and says, "Hey, I'm gonna start suing under Bruner." Like he's way ahead of the pack. What are your thoughts, Ken?
Well, it really helps to be able to list off all these value adds when you have someone that thinks bankruptcy is just a commodity. And I think who just mentioned, most bankruptcy attorneys will do most competent bankruptcy attorneys will do a fine job on the basic case, and that's exactly right. And a lot of bankruptcy prospects know that, and they're really price shopping. And they have access to be able to, go to Chat GPT, go to even this support group that you mentioned, Phil, and like find out roughly pricing, and then they're just comparison shopping really. And so it's super valuable to just be able to rattle off a list of things that no other bankruptcy attorney does, or very few. If they do, they're also your clients. But we'll just say, yes, another bankruptcy attorney across the street that charges less could get you a discharge. But can they help you get your credit score up to 720 in 12 to 24 months? Can they help you find a dealership that will approve you for a car loan the day after your bankruptcy? Can they help you get into a house in 2 years? Can they help you make sure your credit report is accurate? Can they help you make sure in 3 years or 5 years or 7 years, when some problem comes up, will they answer the phone? Will they answer their emails? Will they help you out? And we tell stories with each of those. Like if
Yeah.
their eyes perk up, or or they get interested, and then we say, yeah, let me tell you about this thing that just happened yesterday. For example, this issue came up with this 7-year-old case, and we just resolved it. We dealt with it. Or we just heard from a client that they just got into a new home because they worked with our partner, or they bought a car because they worked with our partner, or and we tell stories to really drive that home. And that just, then all of a sudden the extra $400, $500, $600 that we charge is nothing,
Yeah.
because it's going to be easily made up for in all the value that they're going to get. So,
And you've said it, you've raised your fees. I mean, we can go through the litany of people that have done that. We have strategy calls on our YouTube page, 720 System Strategies. James Howson said 2 months ago or 3 months ago, I was shocked that I raised my fees. And yes, some people backed, but most of them didn't. Like, because you're incorporating it into the process, you're incorporating the value into the intake. And people are not filing bankruptcy to get rid of their debt. Yes, but they're doing it for their future. It's like the end of the debt is not the game. It's their future that they want. So
Yep.
thank you,
100%.
Ken. Appreciate that. Any other thoughts? Any other questions? Open it up. Ken, one other value add they just thought about with you on is the student loan evaluation, right?
Yeah.
Now, most attorneys don't want to get into that. They don't understand it. It's not a system. But like if the bottom line is, like we've done this before with our debtor attorneys on this call. If you have a client that, has their loans over 10 years, if they made some type of good faith, if they qualify and they filed Chapter 7 on the means test, that's a good qualification for a student loan adversary, right?
Yep. Yeah, and if you don't want to do the work, first of all, I would encourage people to try it because it's really not as bad as it sounds. But if you don't want to do the work, find someone that you can refer to that does want those cases because that's a huge selling point. I'd say as much as 1 out of 20 of our clients hire us because of our expertise in student loans. It could even be slightly higher than that, but it's at least 5% that say, yeah, I'm coming, either I'm calling you, you're the person I'm calling because of your expertise, or I'm hiring you because of your expertise in student loans. And I just want to make sure that my student loans aren't just ignored because so many attorneys just say, well, we don't deal with that, we don't look at that, they're not discharged, we don't know about it, you know, we're and just kind of raise their hands to that. And we, even if we don't help them with an adversary proceeding, we give them some detailed analysis and advice, which is a big value add.
So watch for future strategy calls. We're going to go deep into that. Ken, thanks so much. Appreciate that.
If you could do a future video specifically on overcoming objections,
Mhm.
that would be really good. You don't look for the cheapest surgeon. If you got chest pain, you look for the best.
Right. So let's talk about that. Leonard, the problem is the debtor doesn't believe in their mind that that the attorney matters, just like Ken mentioned.
Mhm.
Like they believe you're licensed by the bar, you're an attorney. Like, what's the big deal? So what Ken said, they shop.
Right.
And the way to handle objections, I'm going to throw it to you, and it's right after I'm done, John. When they handle how you handle objections is to pivot them away from now to what their goals are. Why are you filing bankruptcy? Do you
Mhm.
want to get a home? Do you want to get a car? And then pivot to what you're giving them for that. Sean, you want to jump in here?
Oh, I like that example with the doctor. Because for having 720 after the discharge, it's kind of like a doctor, if they don't care which surgeon, it's you're offering physical therapy afterwards. If I had to have knee surgery, I might choose the facility that then says, hey, by the way, you get free rehab and physical therapy for 6 weeks afterwards, and we'll have you back to an active lifestyle. That's value added right there.
Mhm. Yeah. What do you think about that, Leonard?
No, I think that's a good idea.
Thank you, Leonard. And I appreciate
Thank
everyone for
you.
joining. We'll edit this video up and send it out, and we will be in communication. Thank you, everybody. God bless.
Thanks.